Hello everyone, and welcome to the very first episode of Dyson Sphere program. Oh boy, am I excited to finally get to make a proper series out of this game. In case you've been living under a rock this last couple years, this is one of the best factory building games out there, right up there with the other heavyweights of the genre, like Factorio or Satisfactory. If I am being honest, this is my favorite of the three. It might not be as complex as Factorio, but it does scratch an itch I didn't know I have. I suppose it's down to the end goal. In Factorio, you work toward launching a rocket. In DSP, you work toward launching thousands, tens of thousands, even hundreds of thousands of rockets. And the truly special thing about this one is the sense of scale. Sure, you can build truly mind-bogglingly massive megabases in Factorio, but there is truly something special in watching your thousands of interstellar logistics spacecraft fly around the star cluster. And just wait until we start building our actual Dyson sphere. Creating a custom-made sphere and watching it slowly being built from the surface of a planet, as dozens of rockets fly around it, is really hard to put into words. Now, what about the overarching goal of this series? Well, there is a leaderboard in the game, where the different map seeds can be fought over. The more power we generate with our spheres, the bigger our score. I used to have the number 1 position on the seed we are playing on right now. The thing is, the game just got a massive update, where we can encounter newly added enemies, called the Dark Fog. This new game mechanic created a whole new set of seed variations, so we will not really work toward reclaiming the old throne, since I really wanted to play with the enemies enabled. But it's the same seed, just with different settings. And speaking of the seed, what makes it special is the starting system. In a normal seed, the starting planets are usually pretty far apart, and traveling between them can be pretty time consuming at first. But in our seed, these planets all orbit around the system's gas giant, which makes interplanetary travel a breeze in the early game. Anyways, I think it's time we got started. First things first, we broke down our landing capsule. This gave us a couple starting resources, including 3 fuel cells we can use to power ourselves. After that, we got started on research right away. We need to unlock things to progress, and the first is electromagnetism. This will give us the basic miners, as well as the wind turbines. After that, we queued up basic logistics, which will give us conveyor belts and inserters, and automatic metallurgy, which will unlock the smelting furnace. When we unlock these starting technologies, they usually also give us 1 or 2 of the machines they meant to unlock, so we immediately plopped down our free miner on the nearby iron deposit, and used our wind turbine to power it. Now, it might appear as if I placed the wind turbine too far away, and I don't really need to use the power pole. Well, I like to keep things tidy, and I usually place my wind turbines on the grid corners. Technically speaking, it's a bit inefficient, but I'm willing to sacrifice that for tidiness. As for research, at the start we need to use basic resources and products as inputs. Later on, we will use color-coded cubes, similar to the research flasks from Factorio. Also, needless to say, I sped up the game to 2 times speed, same as with workers and resources. Every time I start a run on this game, the early hours are always a bit of a slog, since the mecha is painfully slow, and the construction drones are way too few in numbers. And they are slow too. Well, we need some copper to progress, so it's time to build a second miner, and use it on the nearby deposit. Also, you might have noticed that there is no game sound. I sadly forgot to turn off the game music, and that created a bit of a dissonance with the inserted tracks, not to mention that they are sped up with the footage. We will have sound back in the next episode. There. We have copper coming in, but at a slow rate, since that single wind turbine isn't enough to power both miners. We need to expand our power production. And would you look at that? It seems the Dark Fog already has a foothold on our home planet. Well, we did see them while landing, but it's good to have confirmation. Can't wait to see how they will behave. There is a pair of meters on the top left. I guess if those are full, the fog will attack. For the next research, we definitely need to unlock assemblers, so we can use basic resources to make higher tier products. And we might as well get started on the first tier of dedicated research materials, the blue cubes. Or the electromagnetic matrices to be pedantic. Alright, we have the smelters unlocked. Let's get on that right away. We will use 2 of them for the iron, and 1 for the copper. That is because we can make 2 different products out of iron ore. Plates, and magnetic rings, while we can only make plates out of copper. Well, that's one less thing we need to worry about. Up till now, we had to smelt the raw ores in our internal assembler, but now we can just take the smelted stuff out of the furnaces. Huh. That's new. It seems vegetation now gets damaged if the mecha bumps into them. It makes sense, I guess. Anyways, time to start automating the assembly process for certain stuff. Since we will need a lot, and I really mean a lot of belts, that's the first thing we will stop making ourselves. They need iron plates, as well as iron gears to be made. And those are also made out of iron plates, so it's a pretty simple production chain. We don't really need to have a belt between the 2 factories, we can just feed the gears into the belt assembler directly. And there. We now have automated belt production. It would be best to have a bit of a stockpile though, the assembler itself cannot really hold that many in its output buffer. And that's where storage chests come in. But, before I placed the storage, I went through the remaining researches, and they all needed blue cubes to do. But these are not the only kind of research. We can also do upgrades. These kinds of technologies will improve the different aspects of the game. We can make the mecha go faster, make certain machines more efficient, make the logistics drones faster and hold more stuff, that kind of stuff. Now, as I've said, we need a lot of belts, but we don't need a chest full of them. That would be wasteful. 5 stacks should be plenty. Next, we will also need a lot of inserters. Or sorters, as they are called in DSP. I got my feet wet in Factorio, so I'll just call them inserters. They will require an iron plate, same as the belts, but instead of a gear, they will need a circuit board as the second component. So, we can just continue with the already existing iron belt, and we only need to bring in a line of copper to complete the chain. And there. A fully automated inserter factory. Now, the dark fog seem to be getting a bit agitated. Their threat meter is at 27%. The more we expand, the angrier they get. With the majority of the basics out of the way, it's time to get started on the basic research. For that, we will need these matrix lab buildings. They can operate in 2 modes. They can either make research cubes, or consume them. So we will need to build at least 2. The first one will make the blue matrices, and the second will use them up to progress our research. The blue cubes will require circuit boards and magnetic coils to make, so that's what I told the 2 assemblers to make. Sometimes I like to make some of the corners into these rounded off kinds of turns on my belts. But only when I'm bored. When I'm making things in a hurry, I usually don't bother. They are less space efficient, but they are a bit nicer than the sharp corners. Okay, that's the magnetic coils done. The circuit boards themselves only need one iron and one copper plate. Well, I think this single iron plate smelter is no longer enough to satisfy the need of our assemblers. Time to build another one. Very good. We have blue matrices being made, now we just need a second lab to use them. For that, we will need glass, which we can get after smelting stones. Now we just need to start up a research project, and leave it up to the labs to do it for us. And since I was a bit worried about the dark fog, I decided to go for the first defense tech, which will unlock turrets for us. This iron plate line is a bit too sparse for my liking, so I think it's time we gave it some more plates to carry. That should make our logistics factories faster. Well, it seems our power network is really struggling at the moment. Maybe it's time for a substantial expansion. Also, you might want to get used to seeing a lot of windmills for the foreseeable future. I think the next type of power source we will go for will be either thermal, so we can burn off the excess oil production, or fusion, so we can take advantage of the deuterium fuel cells once they become available. A lot of people like to use solar panels along the planet equator, and it is a pretty decent way of making power. My problem is, I really need the equator to be as free as possible. It's just a personal preference, but I like to have my logistics towers there. There is just about enough room to have most of the components made that way in a neat and tidy fashion, and by the time we can move production off the home planet, power will not be a big concern anymore. Anyways, we just unlocked the defensive towers. And none too soon, the dark fog is getting real antsy according to the threat meter. But, for now I went with the expansion of the research labs. We have the capacity to do more, so we might as well. Uh-oh. The dark fog has triggered an attack. Time to see them in action, I guess. The problem is, I have no idea what way they will come from, so I can't really prepare my turrets in advance. They are on the exact opposite side of the planet, so they can come from any direction. I was trying to see if I can spot their attacking force on the planet view, but I couldn't. By the time I did spot them, they were right on top of us. Well, might as well give the personal defenses a try. Our mecha does come with a built-in laser gun. And it does look like quite a capable way of defending against the first wave. Makes sense, it's better to ease the players into the whole enemy mechanic, instead of throwing them into the deep end right away. Now, there is still one enemy left, but it got lost by the looks of it. Oh well, We can test our gun turret when it comes close. There it comes. Let's see how effective we can be with a single turret. Well, that was quick, but it wasn't a one-shot kill. If they start coming in massive waves, we will definitely need more defenses than that. I think we can make turrets by hand, but we should absolutely automate bullet production. And thankfully, it's a pretty easy recipe, just need copper plates, so let's set it up, and we can start stockpiling ammo for the next attack. As for turrets, we will just try our best to cover what we build with them. Okay, I have no idea what that supernova mechanic is, we will need to investigate it some other time. And that covers everything we have. All turrets have ammo, so we can rest a bit easier. Well, might want to make sure all towers are on the power network. It's all fine and dandy that they have ammo, but they also need electricity to operate. I will change our research priorities around quite a bit during the episode, based on what I need in the immediate future. For example, we will need to rush toward coal refining, so we can turn it into a more potent fuel source pretty soon, and I will also switch over to upgrading our mecha walk speed, as well as the number of construction drones we have, since I will get a bit fed up just how slow they are. Don't forget, the footage is sped up to 2 times speed, so things are really slow in this early in the game. But once things are upgraded properly, oh boy, we will be able to build entire factory arrays in mere seconds. Here, I wanted to automate engine production. My first instinct was to put it somewhere in the middle, but I soon gave up on that. It will be better if we build a dedicated place for it somewhere else. I also thought it was time to start exploiting some of the nearby deposits, and we have a pretty nice patch of iron next to us. But the more important thing is fuel for our mecha. We could live off of burning wood and leaves in our internal power generator, but coal would be a lot better option. Now, we are not yet ready to refine this coal into the more potent graphite. I will quickly set up the infrastructure for it, and then put it in the front of the research queue. But for that, we need at least one furnace, and for that, we need stone. Thankfully, the place is littered with loose rocks we can pick up. With that done, we just need to put the graphite production in front of the research queue, and wait until it's finished. While we wait, we might as well put down the miners for this iron deposit. Our starting patches are really poor, and are only meant to sustain us for the very early stages of the game. Now we just need to feed their outputs into the already existing line going to our furnaces, and we should be golden. That connection will be perfect. Since its side loads onto the existing line, it will only put things on it if there are gaps on that belt. This means that the old mine has priority, making that empty out first. And graphite production is now possible. Let me quickly take care of these belts, and then we will activate our graphite furnace. Might as well give it a small storage, so we can store some extra. We will need a lot of these to fuel the mecha, and it would be best if we can just pick up a couple stacks, and shove them into the power generator. And this is where I will get fed up with the speed of our construction drones. They are painfully slow this early in the game. So, we will do both upgrades. We will make them faster, as well as get an extra one, so they can do more in a shorter amount of time. For good measure, I also added the mecha walk speed upgrade to the end of the queue. But to research that, we will need motors, which we are not yet making. Well, it seems we are a bit short on magnetic rings for the research production. Nothing a second smelter can't fix. I would love to start organizing my factory a bit better, but we are pretty boxed in by water, and we are not ready to start placing foundations. Once we can start doing massive terraforming, then we can start organizing. Anyways, I knuckled down, and started doing a small engine production facility. But it will require a bit more room, so I will move it over in a second. Our power network is just about on the edge, so how about we take advantage of our free thermo generator? We got it for researching the associated technology, and we have a good supply of graphite, so might as well. And it seems there is not enough throughput on the copper going to the bullet factory. Just need a couple more inserters, and it should be okay. Well, not quite. But it's close enough, and it's 3 times as fast as it was before, so we can call it good enough. Now, about that engine factory. I keep getting distracted from it. We just need gears, iron plates, and magnetic coils. Easily made with the resources we have. We can even make the plates and rings right from the nearby line of iron ore. Now we just need copper plates for the coils, and we have a small deposit nearby. Might as well use that, instead of the existing one. We would need to belt that copper through the entire factory otherwise, and this one is more convenient. That's the components done. Now we just need the actual assembler to make the engines themselves. And that's that. If we need engines, we can come and pick them up right here. And we need 60 of them to finish the mecha speed upgrade, so I think I will also go ahead and make some by hand, just to speed things up a little bit. Maybe we can go for the internal power production upgrade next. This should make the generator inside the mecha more efficient. To research it, we will need wood, coal, and graphite, 60 of each. Okay, we have what we need. Now just need to pick up the last few motors we require, and we can carry on. And we are now 1 meter per second faster than we were before. And we are still nowhere near our top speed. We will need to do a lot of researching to reach that point. Now, there are 2 things I wanted to accomplish before we end the episode. One is mecha flight. Right now, we can only walk around, and jump if necessary. But with a bit of research, we can take to the skies, which will speed up our travel speeds immensely. It will consume a lot of power to do so, but it will be worth it. For that, we need a new item. Well, this one is just called engine. I suppose we should call the old one electric engines then? Apart from that, we will also need a big amount of coal, but we already have a miner that overproduces that stuff, so we can just empty that out a couple times until we have enough. Now, I did say there were 2 things I wanted to accomplish before signing off. Apart from mecha flight, I also wanted to stage a small preemptive attack on the dark fog. I want to see just how hard it is to boot them off the planet. But they are on the opposite end of the planet, and that is a very long way away. If we were faster, it wouldn't be a big problem, but we are very slow at the moment. So we need to wait for the flight feature to be unlocked. I suppose we could focus on unlocking the foundations, and I just might do that in the next episode, but for now, I shoved everything I could into the research queue. Okay, at this point, it was a waiting game. I let the game run a little bit, while I popped off to the bathroom. Don't worry, I'll cut that part out. And there we go. We are now able to fly. Time to see just how formidable this dark fog really is. I put a handful of turrets into the crafting queue, and set off toward the enemy outpost. I also took out half the ammo from our existing turrets. Always better to bring more ammo than you think you'll need. Whoa! Did you see that? It seems the dark fog already has interplanetary travel capabilities. Well, I landed a bit too close. Let's back off, and take things a bit more slowly this time. Also, it wouldn't hurt to have a way of powering our turrets, so I put a couple wind turbines into the queue. Okay. This looks far enough. Time to set up a small turret outpost. Let's see what 2 turrets can do. Okay, they will get overwhelmed very quickly. We definitely need more. Good thing we're here, so we can repair them. Four of them seem to be enough to at least keep them at bay on the current level. But these are just the basic units. I have a feeling things get a lot more interesting later on. I also wanted to see if we can do turret creep, where we slowly push our turrets close and closer to the enemy base. Well, it's definitely possible. And we even managed to destroy something on that dark fog outpost. No idea what I just did, but it can't be good for them. And it seems we need to be a bit more careful about how far we progress with our turret creep. If we place the power pole too far ahead, they will just get destroyed. And that includes the turrets. We just lost 2 of them. I think that's enough probing the enemy for now. We can definitely do it, we just need more resources, and a bit more patience. I think I'll try to kick them off the planet in the next episode. And I think that will pretty much do it for this first episode. I really hope you liked it, it was a lot of fun to make, and I really hope that this series will be successful. Unfortunately, the YouTube algorithm is a fickle mistress, so that's all I can do. Hope. Anyways, in the next episode we will likely focus on foundations, and start expanding our territory. We are very much hemmed in by the ocean on all sides, with very narrow strips of land to build on. If we can push that water back, that would be a huge boost for us. And then, we can start organizing things a lot more. In the early game, I like to lay out a grid of wind turbines, and build our factory arrays among them. It's only a stopgap measure though. While this method is more than capable of creating well laid out factories, the true goal are the logistics towers. They are the ones that will catapult us toward true greatness. Anyways, if you haven't done it already, I'd love it if you subscribe to the channel, and leaving a like would also let me know that this video was worth making. If you feel that it was good enough, and you can afford it, please consider going to my Ko-fi page, which you can find in the description, and donate an amount that you feel is appropriate. And if you did like what you've seen, there should be links to some of my other videos and playlists on the screen. Thank you for your support, and I'll see you in the next one.